When we talk about fear and intuition, most of us realize very clearly that fear is a very big block to our intuitive channel opening and us receiving messages. Today, I want to break that down more specifically. I want to talk about three main areas of fear that are out there when it comes to intuition and spirituality. And I want to talk about how they block us, and better yet, I want to give you solutions on how to move past that. And if you've been watching this channel for a while, or you're new and you haven't yet subscribed, please do. It does help the channel, helps me to reach more people, to get more of these messages out so more and more of us can use our intuition in our day-to-day lives, because we are all intuitive. So please hit that subscribe button, notification button. I really appreciate it. The topic of fear and intuition is kind of a fun one for me, but I will say it wasn't fun when I first started out, for sure. And if you're just getting to know me, if you're new to the channel and you're like, who is this lady? Not quite sure about her. Here's this short version of my backstory. I was 32 years old when I opened up intuitively. Before that, solid skeptic, and I mean solid. I have a degree in mathematics. 1 + 1 has to equal 2 or it's not real. That was my existence. And at the age of 32, sadly, my grandmother passed and I was very close to her. And within a few hours, middle of the day, right in my living room, she showed up right in front of me, like right there, 70% solid. It shook me is a good way to say that. And it took months after that, I mean, even fair to say a year or two, for me to shift my life, shift my understanding, step into and beyond the fears that I had. So I relate to some of these on a deep level. Not all three, but 2 out of the 3 I relate to on a deep level. The third one I just want to talk about because I can see it happening in society today, and I want to kind of put some helpful information out there. But when it comes to fear blocking intuition, I was the poster child. So when I'm talking about this, I know what it's like to be on the side of fear, and I know what it's like to be on the other side of fear. And hopefully this session today will give you a couple really helpful tips that you can apply to get to the other side of fear. But I opened up and I kept moving forward and became a professional intuitive. This was back in 2005, 2006, 2007. So this was a long time ago, but I know what it's like to be in that state. So talking about this now today kind of excites me because I know what it's like to get past it. And if this session at all helps even one person to get past it, that's a win for me. Now, let's jump in. The 3 categories of fear that are very prominent and very common all come with a kind of an identifying question, you could say. So the first category of fear is, what am I going to see? What's going to happen? So I'm going to open up to this, which is invisible, by the way, because that's how we think of it before we open up. What am I going to see? What's going to happen? That's a legit fear. We'll dive into that one. The second one is kind of a worthy. Am I worthy? Am I one of the special ones that can have access to intuition and get messages and talk to guides? You know, who am I to be able to do this? That's the second one we're going to go into. And the third one is, why has it shut down now that I've dove so far into it? And this is that question of, I went so far into spirituality and now nothing's happening and I don't understand why. That third one is a little bit more not fear of what's going to happen, but a fear-based reaction to spirituality that ends up shutting down your intuition. I'll explain in more detail, but let's start with the first one. When it comes to opening up, this one's probably the most common, 1 or 2. Section 1, Section 2, very common. Section 3, not so common, but a good, helpful one to know about. When it comes to opening up intuitively, what am I going to see? What's going to happen to me? We are comfortable with the known. We are comfortable with patterns. We are comfortable with what we know. The unknown really is indeed scary. This is how we get scared in movies. This is how we get scared in haunted houses. Haunted houses are not scary because it's a house. It's scary because you don't know what's coming around the corner. And interestingly, as I'm saying this, I can even feel people go, yep, that's the same thing. And I think we should talk about it. I think we should just say it. And I think you should just say it. So yes, I'm opening up to my intuition, but I don't know what's going to happen. If I knew what was going to happen, I knew exactly what I was going to see, I would have more courage on opening up and stepping into it because I wouldn't be worried about it because I would know what it is. Maybe something's going to pop out at me. Maybe I'm going to find out information that I don't want to know. And these are all really, really big, big blocks. Now, can they be changed instantly? For some, they can be like, oh yeah, got it. I have been worried about that. I'm going to let that go. But for the rest of us, including me, it's a practice. And so I respect and I love that you're stepping forward and you're saying, okay, I'm going to meditate. I'm going to do GCP. If you don't know what GCP is, find the link. Ground Clear Protect. It's a practice that is free, super easy. You're going to love it so much. Please do it. But you're doing these practices and you're waiting and you're anticipating and you're like, is something going to go on? Is something going to go on? And that fear, naturally, you've been kind of putting off to the side. I don't want to look at it because if you look at the fear, then you get scared. And if you look at the fear, then you worry. And then you think, if I worry, I'm going to bring this about. What I think about, I bring about. And it just spins, right? But I'm going to invite you to create a pattern where you check in with your fear. Check in with that worry of what you might see. Not only check in with it, but set some boundaries and be like, you know what? I do have that fear. Okay, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to try to tap in. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to relax. I'm going to do GCP. And I'm going to see if there's any intuitive messages that are coming up about this situation or something coming up or something that I am moving into or heading toward. Right? And you're sitting down and you're trying to relax into this and you're trying to tap in, you're trying to quiet that left brain, open up the right brain. And I'm asking you to start the pattern of taking an extra step to bring that fear up, bring it right on up, bring it to the table. It's like a little tiny troll who is hiding behind you. No offense to trolls. I'm sure you're sweet, but it's like a little tiny troll that is hiding behind you, right? I say this only for fun, but it doesn't want to come to the front until it's like the worst scenario or until you get like a surprise and then it'll pop out and be like, you're scared. So we sit down and we try to put it behind us. We try to ignore it. We try to put it aside because maybe if we ignore it, maybe if we don't pay attention to it, it'll just go away and one day we won't have fear. Now, I'm not saying that that doesn't work, but this pattern works, I think, personally, a little bit better. So if you have fear of what you're going to see, I can sit here and tell you that I've taught tens of thousands of people across the globe. And I can tell you that I have never met someone that could not handle what they ended up seeing. But that's just my word, right? I'm not sitting at the kitchen table with you, meditating into your intuitive space together. I appreciate that you're kind of there. You're like, oh, that's great. Thanks for saying that, but it doesn't change how I feel. So what I'm asking you to do is when you sit down, when you relax, when you're like, okay, I'm taking a deep breath, I'm relaxing in, doing GCP, I'm going to ask for any intuitive messages, spirit guides, loved ones that want to communicate, give me any messages or information intuitively. I want you to take an extra step. And I want you to say to your fear, hey, come here, just for a second. Psst, come here, just for a second. I need you to be boxed up in this special box, like over here. I need to set you aside for a very short period of time, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, not even that long. That act of doing that, and I'll give you a little bit more specifics around a process, but that act of taking your fear, bringing it up to the front, saying, I see you, now sit over here. that literally takes it out of the intuitive channel. It literally pulls it out. It says, I recognize this is something that is in my energetic body. I do recognize that. I'm acknowledging it, recognizing, putting eyes on it so I can see it. You're taking that troll and you're going, sit right there for a minute. I have eyes on you. And I'm putting you over here in timeout. And while you're in timeout, I'm going to go ahead and do my thing. So what I want you to do is I want you to imagine or feel or visualize a box of some sort, a treasure chest, a crate, a shoebox, anything. Just make it up. This is an intent exercise. You don't have to wait for it to show up. It's just intent. I want you to make up the imagery of a box, put it off to the side. And when you sit down to tap in, I want you to say, okay, I am scared of what I might see. I do have some fears around that. Bring it up. Bring it on up. And then I want you to picture that fear, whether it's a cloud that's colored blue, colored red, or if it's a, sphere or something. I want you to put it into an image and put that image into that box and say, you're going to stay in that box for the next minute or two while I tap in. What's going to happen by doing this is it's you taking control of that fear and saying, I know where you are. You're right there. You're not hiding behind me. You're not going to pop out at me at any moment. You're right there. I acknowledge that I have it. It's not something that is going to help me in this situation. So I'm going to take it, acknowledge it, set it to the side. I know where it is. I know it's there for a little bit. Now, I know that this might sound a little bit corny, right? And a little bit simple, but ignoring the fear of what you might see, denying the fear of what you might see, is keeping it bubbled up and hidden in there, and it's still blocking the intuitive channel. So try that for me, just for a little while. At some point, you'll feel like, I don't need to do this anymore. And at some point, you will see something, hear something, feel something, and it won't frighten you. And you'll be like, okay, I got this. I got this. And then you'll start to be able to access the information that is there for you, that the universe, source, your loved ones, your guides is providing, without being blocked by it. And that's the goal. That's the goal. So identify it. Put your eyes on it. I see you. I know you're there. I see you. I can't just brush you off. So I'm going to acknowledge you, bring you forward, put you into the imagery, make it a little troll if you want, and then lock it up in that box while you're done. Do you need to let it go when you're done? If you want to, you can keep it in the box if you want. But when you sit down to focus in on this process, add that to your practice before tapping in. I see you. I know you're there. I'm putting you over here. I know where you are. Stay. And then allow yourself to move forward. Give it a try. It's a little bit of a concept around working with the brain and rewiring and things like this, but it works slowly but surely. And it's one step after another. So give that a shot. The second category of fear is, am I worthy? Am I worthy? And I'm gonna tell you this. I had that one too. That's where I was at too. I was like, well, who am I? I'm just this person and I've never had an intuitive experience. I've never done anything spiritual. I don't have this elaborate spiritual existence and fanciness about me, and I felt very average. I felt very like, well, those people are special that I see on TV. Those are the people that can actually do it. They've got these like mystical powers or gift. Now, if you call your intuition a gift, that's great. Please just know that everyone has a gift. So intuition is not reserved for the special few. It is not given magically to this person who can use it super strongly. It's how you access it, how you acknowledge it, how you bring it into your life. But we all have the same level of intuition. So when you see someone on television, first off, it's a little bit edited, so give it a little bit of grace there, okay? But when you see someone on television or you see someone live or you go to a reader and they say things that you're like, how did you know that, right? We all have access to that. And in order to step into this is going to be another pattern, another breaking of an old pattern, actually. The first situation, fear, Fear's real. It protects us. It takes care of us. It's not a bad thing. But fear, when it comes to intuition, needs to be kind of put in its place, right? This situation is a little bit different. This situation is a habit built of, I'm not intuitive. They're special. I'm not. They have a gift. I don't. And we'll give a little thanks out to pop culture for this. And I totally get it. It markets, it sells. It's wonderful. It's great, right? But this thing that you've been seeing in the world where this person is super special and super gifted is not necessarily the case. And, it probably isn't going to sell as many tickets if they're like, look at what I can do and everyone else can. You can too. So if we can let go of the positioning, let go of that, and also understand that a lot of these intuitives that you see out in the world on TV and, out there doing their job, this is what they focus on all the time. And they are amazing at it and they have honed it. They're just focused on it all the time. And this is why they're doing it. So my invitation is to get you to focus on it all the time so you can see, oh, I do have access to this as well. Those mediums, those psychics, this is their job, to bring it into the world, to show you what's possible, to show you what can be, right? Now, for you, am I worthy? Yes. This is going to be a pattern breaking situation, not a pattern making. You already have a pattern in your mind that you're not. You already have been told for years and years that these people are special. And there are even psychics and intuitives that will look you in the eye in person and say, well, I have the gift. Yeah. So do I. So do you, and so do you, and so do you, and so do you. It's and this is the analogy I use quite frequently in teaching, especially I talk about this in the Sage Method as well, that it's like you grew up in a society where they say you can't taste anything. Only special people can taste food. Your taste buds don't work. Only special people have gifted taste buds. And then all of a sudden one day you taste something and you're like, well, that was weird. And then you go right back into believing you can't taste anything. Fast forward a couple of years, you meet someone that's like, I tasted something. And you're like, that's really weird. There was this one time when right? We've all had that one time where we had that one thing happen, but then we revert right back into, who am I? I can't, that was just a fluke. That was just a little thing that happened, right? I'm here to tell you the amount of people that I have taught and the way that the teachings happen for the Sage Method hold you in a space of accessing your intuition like your taste buds. Like, this is natural. Here are the things that are blocking it. And this is one of them. So this is what we're going to do to break this pattern. We're actually going to do two things. I'm going to have you start something called a No Doubt notebook. And it's not even a special notebook. You can literally grab any notebook and just call it your No Doubt notebook. When you have an intense or detailed or wow moment with your intuition, where you know someone's calling and then the phone rings, or you can think back even to a situation that happened to you where you knew something and it's just bizarre and still to this day you can't figure out how you knew it, I want you to write those things in the notebook. And again, it can be any regular notebook, but I want you to write these things in the notebook. And I want you to keep that. And I want you to use that as a tool to break the pattern. The concept of I can't access my intuition, or I'm not intuitive, or I'm not like those people. That's the synapses in your brain firing, saying this is the pattern, this is what you've been told, this is what you've believed for so long, and so this is what we're going to keep you in. We're going to keep you in this pattern. That No Doubt notebook, when you're feeling that doubt, you open the notebook, you look back at the things that you've done and go, no, I do have intuition. It is strong. So that's the first thing, as I want you to start compiling your intuitive hits, the things that really pop, the things that you're like, you can't make that up. Put those in the No Doubt notebook. Keep putting those in there. And anytime you doubt your intuition, I want you to go back and see what you've done and go, okay, I'm reminding myself, yes, I am very, very intuitive. The other thing that I want you to do is hold yourself in a few moments and a few seconds of just full, solid belief. I am intuitive. I'm very strong intuitively. It's really easy for me to get intuitive information. And then just relax. Do this for just a short time. It's really important that this is a short period of time, because this is not about meditating for an hour. It's not quantity, it's quality. And when it comes to breaking a pattern, it's easier to break a pattern if you do it in small bites. So what I want you to do is once a day. You can do it, you just got done driving, you're sitting in your car, you haven't gone in yet. Take 2 minutes, 120 seconds. And I want you to just be in a space where for the next 2 minutes, I fully believe in my intuition. I am fully confident. I have absolutely no doubts. I'm fully confident. And then I want you to start with a few affirmations. I am a really strong intuitive. I have such access to my intuition. It's so easy for me to do. I get messages with ease. And then I want you to sit and I want you to relax and I want you to ask your guides, your loved ones, is there anything you'd like to tell me today? Do that once a day for a week. Let's see what happens. Let's see if you start shifting away from that, well, I don't think I could because I'm not special, and into, oh, okay, everyone has taste buds. Got it. All right. That's your second one. Now, your third one, the third category of fear is a little bit different. We're going to go kind of out of the edge here for a moment. But I think this is important to talk about because I'm seeing it come up more and more and more. It's always been here, but I'm seeing more and more people invited into it now, especially with social media. And this is spiritual extremism. This is when a person dives into spirituality and then they dive in further and further and further. This is kind of the opposite of number 2, of not knowing if you can do it, doubting yourself. This is going all the way in where I believe everything. And there's fear in here. There's fear in here that is very subtle and very hidden, but there's fear. Now, for somebody who dives so far into spirituality, what does that look like? That looks like an individual who ends up having one particular name, perhaps, of one planetary system, of one job, or one great being, or something. And they're so far in, because we can all have moments where we connect to higher beings. Yes, we can all have moments where we connect to archangels or different, Buddha, Jesus, Christ energy, like all across the globe, all different high vibrational beings. Yes, we can connect with them. But when it gets into that spiritual extremism, it becomes a battle. It becomes a fight. It becomes where, and here's the baseline to go to. If a person goes so far into their spiritual path, so far into this concept that they become the warrior. They become the one that is right and everyone else is wrong. This is the beings. This is the path. This is the reason. This is everything. And it gets very spot on and very detailed. And there's a message behind it that others are wrong, others are bad, others are against you, others need to be fought. This is spiritual extremism. And this is a diving so far in to the spiritual side that we're losing track of our human existence here. And there's fear in this because fear is what's driving spiritual extremism. Spiritual extremism is when someone goes so far that they are right and now they are identifying other people as wrong. When they are the chosen and they're identifying other people as the lost. Spiritual extremism starts diving into human components without using those words. What I mean by this is they start diving into medical decisions, and they start diving into where people live and what they do every day in their human life, and deeming that as evil or dark or sins or bad, or, this person, well, if you did this, if you got this, shot, if you follow this path, if you did this, then you're dark, you're bad, and you're the one that I'm battling. This is spiritual extremism. It's not common, but it's there, and it's based in fear. It's based in fear and massive insecurity. So if you find that it is getting the people that you are connecting with, the groups that you're interacting with are speaking in terms of fear, things that scare you, that is spiritual extremism. That is the path of follow me or bad things are going to happen. You will be lost. You will go here. You will any form of fear-based concepts that are inviting you into another belief is spiritual extremism. And here's the thing in the connection to intuition. An individual who goes down a rabbit hole of spiritual extremism, and I'm saying this, there's no judgment around it because it's a very easy rabbit hole to go down because you're searching for meaning within yourself. And that makes sense to me. But when you go down that rabbit hole, it's a fear-based process that someone else, here's the key, another living person is guiding you down. You have to do this. You have to believe this. You have to say this. You can't do this. You can't do that. You can't do this. This human thing is bad. 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 They're all going to do this and doom and doom and doom. That fear is holding you and hooking you and pulling you in even further. It's fear baiting to get you to follow. And it's an easy thing to do because a person is searching. They're searching for guidance. They don't have the answers. They know that they want to walk a spiritual path. They know they want to open up their intuitive channel. They know they want to have this experience, but then all of a sudden it starts slowly and then it keeps going. And then it's this one person that it starts ended up into worship. And then it starts going further into, I have to do this. I have to give this. I have to be this. I have to do this. I can't be this. I can't be that. I can't do this. I can't. All the rules come in on how you can be. I'm going to take a moment to pause because I want to interject this. You don't have to follow these rules to be perfect. You already are. So there's the extreme piece that comes in that is based in fear. It ignites fear within you and it gets you to do things. The whole path of spirituality is regaining a connection within yourself, to your higher self, not to an outside source that has patterns, doomsday, world's going to end on this day, any of those types of patterns. Anything that sounds, smells, looks like fear is pulling people into spiritual extremism. And what happens when you get pulled into that, and very, very brilliant people can be pulled into that. Anyone can be pulled into that. It's a matter of a pattern, right? But once you get pulled into that, your intuition shuts down, completely shuts down. Absolutely, nope. And you might even be thinking you're getting things and you're not, because it's being created out of the fear-based worries and concerns that are being thrown at you subtly and through spiritual terms, usually, end of the world or death or judgment or something like that. So if you stop on your path and take a moment to look around and say, the people that I am learning from, are they scaring me? Is there anything in there that they're saying that is scary? Is scary? Am I worried about something because of what this spiritual leader is telling me? Do I fear something because of what this spiritual teacher is telling me? And if that's the case, it might be a path of spiritual extremism. Spiritual extremism isn't like a big sign that says, walk through this door and we are extremists. Doesn't work like that. Nobody would walk through the door. We'd be like, no thanks. That's not where I want to go. It's very subtle. So if you sit down and you look around and you have any leaders, guides, or teachers living that say to you, if you don't do this, you're bad. If this happens, you're going here. Here's how you have to behave. Here's the thing you should be scared of. Be scared of this all the time. And this is how you have to behave in order to not be scared of that. Any of those, here's your suggestion. Take a couple steps back. Take a break. Take a break. Flip the script. Look somewhere else. Focus on something else. Because the fear is grabbing and pulling. And if something outside of you is grabbing and pulling you out of fear, that's the extremism. And your intuition, absolutely going to shut down. Absolutely going to shut down. As a matter of fact, if you have this happen where you look around and go, well, wait a minute, am I starting to worry about something that is connected to my spiritual path? Am I starting to have some fears around my spiritual path? Okay, I am. Once you get that kind of acknowledgement, and then start paying attention to what's said. How is my internal connect? And also start paying attention to your internal connection. What am I receiving? How much time am I spending in fear? And how much time am I spending in peace? How encouraged am I to be my authentic self? Okay, take a step back. The goal of a spiritual path is to go inward, to have a direct connection, to not have a middleman telling you what you need to know, right? That is the goal of a pure spiritual path. And there are countless paths, and there's not one path that's right and one path that's wrong. And it can be scary to feel on your own with it. And this is where the fear comes in for this spiritual extremism. It can be scary to feel alone. Well, I have to have my own connection. I don't know. Tell me how to do that. Totally normal. I went through that myself. It's once you start really connecting, you will start to feel the calm. You'll start to feel the confidence. You'll start to feel centered. And then you won't need those outside sources to guide you. And your intuition will start flowing again. So spiritual extremism, subtle, all based in fear, pursued out of fear of being alone with it, not knowing what to do, those types of fears. And the solution to this is really to give yourself a little bit of a break, social media break, news break, any kind of break like that, just a break from interaction in certain sources and saying, okay, what am I scared of? Have I been invited to be scared? And if the answer is yes, take a few steps back. Explore something else. See if you can find something that's based in reminding you who you actually are, which is source, unconditional love. You're absolutely perfect, exactly who you are right now in this moment. So fear is not necessary in your intuitive journey. It's natural. It can happen. We can be scared of what we might see. We can be scared of if we're worthy. We can be scared into certain limited belief structures. But fear in general is not necessary. And there is a path to walk where you can move forward out of it. So keep going. Try a few of these things today. You're worth it. You're perfect. Nothing to be scared of. Needing a little bit more intuitive tools, try this next video here. It is a perfect first step to build a very solid foundation, and it's going to help you get past that fear.